Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this Tuesday, the 20th of October, 2020. Thank you for tuning in. Now, listen. To be honest, I don't believe in any of it. I don't believe in what's going on with this election. I don't believe what's going on with this virus. I just in a world where I think everything, we're being fed information for a purpose. And the purpose is to divide us. And let's open up the charts right here and take a look at what's going on here. This is called Machiavellian. This is what it's called, this technique. And, you know, it says, being or acting in accordance with the principles of government, analyzed in Machiavellian the Prince, which the political expediency is placed above morality, and the use of craft and deceit to maintain the authority and carry out policies. Machiavellian, that's what's going on. You know? And what they're doing is they're dividing and conquer. Divide and conquer. They've got us thinking that we have choices to make, and they've got us in a world that's completely upside down. We don't know whether we're coming or going. Yeah, I believe this flu is real, but I honestly don't believe in it, what they're doing. What's happening with it and everything. It's bringing about a monumental shift in humanity. That's what it's doing. It's taking us and it's dividing right in the literal point. To the literal point, it's dividing and separating us. So that we have to maintain a distance between everyone. And it's just, the world's turning upside down right now. And, you know, I don't see it as being anything else but Machiavellian. Let's move on. Let's take a look at the gold price today. The gold price is up $7.70 today. This market's being manipulated through the use of paper short contracts. Just like everything else in the system right now is being manipulated, and this is Machiavellian. It's all Machiavellian. We're being taken advantage. The people, we don't know which way to turn right now at this point in time. We don't know what's real. We don't know where the level playing field is. They've hauled the rug out from underneath all of us with this Machiavellian policy. You know, that the world leaders are turning our whole world upside down. And, you know, it's not just the virus, it's all other parts and aspects of our society. You can see it. You know, and we're left with a point where our stomachs are agitated because we don't know what's going to happen next. We don't have a security in this world right now. We feel insecure. And so what we're doing is a lot of us are getting angry. You know, and I'll tell you honestly, it's just like, what do they expect from us? You know? If we're going to elect elected representatives in government, we expect them to make a secure future for us and our children. And they're not doing so. Okay, I got to get into talking about gold here. This is a very manipulated market. And they've been manipulating the price to the downside for years, spoofing the gold and silver price to the downside for years. I don't see anybody in jail yet for it. Yeah, okay, they slap a few little fines. Those fines are nothing to these big shots. These big shots are making billions and billions and billions, hundreds of billions. A fine's not gonna affect them, and that's just making more money for the government too. They need to do something that's gonna be more effective at stopping them from spoofing these markets. They're gonna slip out. The rich always have a way of slithering out, you know. They hire the best lawyers and everything. It's so hard to pin anything on them, even if they're guilty as hell. There's another thing. Not only is this a Machiavellian society, but it's an unjust Machiavellian society where the the poor are getting poorer by the day, and the rich are getting richer by the day. They're loving all of this. These rich guys out there, they're loving all of this. They want it to continue because they made like $20 billion last year. Meanwhile, you know, all across America, people are wondering where they're going to find their next meal for their kids. It's sick. It's absolutely sick, guys. This society that we have right now is not only sick, but it's also sick morally. It's morally irreprehensible. And it's being run in a Machiavellian fashion. And, you know, as long as the people sit out there and, you know, just accept it all, it's going to continue. And it's going to get worse. And the worse, it's going to get to a point in the end where the people are not willing to accept it anymore because it's just too brutal that they can't accept it. Let's take a look at silver today. 24.73. It's up 39 cents. You know, even with all their manipulation right now, there's such a scarcity in the real precious metals that they can't keep these prices down. They'll kick them down and they'll bounce right back up again. And there's really not a lot of room for them to kick them down now at this point. 24.73 for silver. Cryptocurrencies today, $365 billion with a Bitcoin dominance of 60.3%. Bleep, 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 bleep. Warning lights going off on this. Guys, there's warning lights going off on this. And the reason why is because that Bitcoin dominance has climbed above 60%. And when the Bitcoin dominance climbs above 60%, it means that people are piling into Bitcoin. And the reason why they're piling into Bitcoin is they're frightened. You know, and that's a bearish signal that the market could turn downwards. You know, when you see the Bitcoin dominance explode like that. So we're at a Bitcoin price of $11,897. Beware right now on this because of that bearish signal. Beware. That's just a warning light. It's a red light. As far as I'm concerned, the fact that they're all piling into Bitcoin. Dow Jones Industrial Average, it's up 178 points. Now, I've watched something happen in the last few weeks, you know. I watched this market start to turn over. And I mean, it's ready to fall. It's ready to fall 80%. Okay, it'll turn over and it'll fall for a day, maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days, a little bit. It starts to fall, and then they prop it back up again. I think that somehow they've got control over this market now. And it's been trying to crash. I think it's been trying to crash. I think it tried to crash, you know, and now they popped it back up again. They pop it back up each time. Yeah, they've got some way they're supporting this market, I think, other than what we know about, you know. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I smell a rat. I smell a rat in this. Okay, let's take a look now at crude oil. Crude oil is $40.66. They're going to have trouble with this. They're going to have trouble with this. OPEC's going to have trouble. I can see trouble coming for OPEC, but they're trying to maintain that price at $40. That's what OPEC's trying to do. Let's take a look at the MOVE Index today. Now, remember I told you about this MOVE Index, guys. Told you about this. If we go back to the 1-year chart on the MOVE Index, see this where MOVE Index popped up all the way up to 163 on the 9th of March of this year? I think this is what stimulated them. I think this was the biggest thing that they were looking at that stimulated them to do that big last stimulus measure. And so the MOVE Index has been going along basically low. It's been staying down low, running on stimulus until the 5th of October. And if we move in closer, if we take a look at it, let's say in a 1-month chart, the 5th of October right here, October 5th, boing, the MOVE Index went up. And it's been going up. It's been creeping up every day ever since. Now it's up to 61.16. I think if we see this MOVE Index go over 100, I think that they're going to be, because this is the credit markets. If this MOVE Index gets too high, the credit markets could freeze up, you know, and they're not going to let that happen. And so they're going to do stimulus and stuff, big stimulus, to bring this MOVE Index back down again. This is a game they're playing. It's kind of like wash, rinse, repeat. stimulus package, and then what happens is they let it filter down through the economy before they wait for their next stimulus package, and they keep their eye on this MOVE index. This is what they watch. And now we're watching it too on our channel here. And we see it went up 6 points since yesterday. 61.16. Bonds and rates today. This market is completely controlled again. And so we're seeing a rise in yields, though. And remember I told you they're going to try to keep the 10-year at 0.75. Well, it's 0.78 right now. So it's not a lot over the 0.75. In the U.S. 30-year, they're going to try to keep it at 1.5. It's 1.58. See them creeping up a little bit. So they'll probably knock these back down again. Now let's take a look at the U.S. dollar index, and the dollar's creeping downwards. They like that. They like to see the dollar creeping downwards. But, you know, it's awful hard to make the dollar creep downwards because it's being compared against a bunch of other crap, like the euro and the, what's the other, the pound, and they're all crap. And so if you're comparing the dollar against crap, it's hard to make it go down against crap, because crap is worse. It's like you got to have worse crap than the crap that's out there right now. You know, it's got to smell worse. And it's pretty hard to make it smell worse than the euro. It's pretty hard to make it smell worse than the British pound, but they're being somewhat successful at getting it down near 92. That's it, boys. Just keep dumping them dollars out there and keep destroying the value of everybody's purchasing power. They're going to take away the middle class. You can't save. How can you save money? You can't save money anymore. Because they're going to keep devaluing, depreciating the value of this. Every time everything starts to stumble a little bit, you know. And that's the way it wants to. It wants to fall. Everything wants to fall. Everything's in a bubble. Bubbles always pop. Every time these bubbles start to deflate and start to pop, they pump them back up again. And they're not going to quit doing that. And how are they pumping them back up? More cheap, easy money. The printer press. They start up the printing press. More cheap, easy money into the system. And what that does is we got one part of the system, which is Main Street out here where we live, is deflating tremendously. I mean, a lot of people are losing their jobs and stuff, you know, and it's just a mess. And on their side of the economy, they're pumping so much money in there that it's actually inflating. It's hyperinflating. The stock market is hyperinflating. All of these asset bubbles are hyperinflating, while the other part of the economy is shrinking away and dying. And so they've created just a weird world, and this is part of their Machiavellian technique of divide and conquer. Divide us all against one another, so we're all fighting with one another. And meanwhile, they're into the treasury stealing all the gold. You know? While we're all squabbling. This is their technique they're using. And it's being very successful. I'll tell you what, it's being very successful. My channel, I reach a few thousand people. But to be honest, it's having little or no effect upon the masses out there who are completely entrenched in this. They believe everything they're seeing is real, you know, when in truth it's all a situation that's being generated for us to try to keep our attention elsewhere from what they're really doing. They're doing it with one hand to us. In other words, they got their hand in our pocket, stealing our wallet with one hand. Meanwhile, they got us watching a carnival sideshow, and so our attention is away on the other side while they're robbing us blind. And we can see the effect of that all around us. We used to be able to go out and get a job at one time and support our whole family. Only one person worked in the house. And we had a good lifestyle. Just think back 5 years ago. Some of the things you might have now that you're using in your house, new appliances or whatever, you might have bought them about 5 years ago, back when you had money. Now, if something breaks, you can't afford to replace it. This is what they've done to us. And these leaders are all corrupt. They've all been corrupted by some sort of corrupting influence on them. And their minds are twisted. They're sick. They're actually sick, these leaders, and they don't even realize that they're sick. They think that they are, the best thing since sliced bread is what they think they are. You know, and they think they're, but in actuality, they're a bunch of sick, twisted individuals who are trying to turn all of us into sick, twisted individuals too, but we're not having it. At least some of us are not having it. We're going to stand up and we're going to say, hey, we don't want to become a sick, twisted individual like you. We have morality still. And, you know, we have a sense of morality and a sense of what's right and what's wrong. And you over there, you politicians and you rulers and you world leaders and everything, you've lost your sense of morality. You don't know what's right and what's wrong anymore. And you don't know what you're doing to us, the people, is wrong. You don't even know. Because you've become so sick, so twisted. Anyway, listen, guys. Thank you for listening to my show. Like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.